We have been showing you these leaked photos shared by our next guest, giving an inside look of chaotic, overcrowded migrant facilities as the border faces a record surge.
Democratic Texas Congressman Henry Cuellar joins us now with more. Congressman, welcome to the show. Tell us just really quickly why you released these photos.
Same reason I did in 2014 when I released photos of very packed facilities. Keep in mind that this is a border patrol facility. They're not equipped to handle, young people and families. They were set up to handle adults. And I think under the pandemic, it makes it even more important to understand why this is important to understand what's happening at these facilities. The administration just has to move them faster into the health and human services facilities.
Congressman, the old saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words is obviously true. Images are compelling, but you've been there. You've toured these facilities. We've talked about this morning. The facilities that congressional delegations are shown or allowed to see, you would also assume are some of the better facilities out there. You would assume it's some of the better conditions. Tell us in your own eyes, with what you witnessed, what's going on down there.
Well, there's different facilities. There's what we call the Border Patrol facilities that are supposed to be holding people up to 72 hours. But if Health and Human Services doesn't take this unaccompanied kids, then Border Patrol is just forced to stay with the kids for a longer period of time. And that's why we are seeing those packed facilities. They're not moving them out fast enough under Health and Human Services. And on top of that, the reason these pictures are important to show how packed they are, somewhere close by that same weekend, there were about 150 people that were released without a notice to appear. To me, that's unprecedented. How do you release somebody to the country without a notice to appear? Now, I have to say, they were not adults, they were not unaccompanied kids, but they were family units.
Yeah, but that's never been, to your point, that has never been done before. It makes it look, Congressman Cuellar, like our immigration system is the honor system. Okay, we're just going to let you go and at some point in the future, call ICE and say, you know what, I feel like I should probably appear before a judge now. That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. I mean, even with the ones that have the notice to appear don't show up. I mean, a lot of them do, but there's a good amount of them
Most
that don't.
don't.
Yeah, and imagine somebody who doesn't even have a paperwork. How are they going to show up? It's an honor system. Without due respect, an honor system doesn't work in immigration. I mean, I agree with you.
Congressman, earlier, Vice President Kamala Harris was asked when she was going to come to the border. Let's take I think we have that footage here.
Do you plan to visit the border?
Not today, but I have before, and I'm sure I will again.
She seems pretty glib about it. You live on the border. I know lots of people who live in Yuma, Arizona, and Mission, Texas. They're really worried that people in faraway places like Washington, D.C. are making decisions that aren't just affecting the children and the illegal families and individuals who are coming across the border, but that are affecting the communities that you live in. How important is it to you that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris get themselves over to the border to see what their policies' impacts are?
Well, I do have to say I was with Kamala Harris back, I think it was back in October in the McAllen area at the border. But I have to say this. Look, I say this both to Democrats and Republicans. Coming in and just visiting the border for a few hours is not a substitute for a lifetime of experience for people like sheriffs, mayors, other people, NGOs that live on the border and see this every day. And it's very, very, very too important to get the input from the men and women on the ground on the border instead of letting somebody 1,000 miles away make a decision for the border. I would make a decision for the northern border of Canada. I think the people up there know it better than I do.
Point.
Well, Congressman, you have a unique point of view because you are representing one of those districts right along the border. And the Biden administration has not been vocal enough in saying, don't come now. Because for a lot of the migrants, the message is Joe Biden was elected and he wants me to come and now's a good time, so I'm coming. But for your district is in a pickle because the people who run the district, the mayors and the town councils and stuff like that, they've got thousands of migrants dumped on your streets with little help from the federal government, and you just can't handle it either.
Well, you know, it's very important to understand that what we see here on the ground is different from what somebody else might see in a different place. By that is, since I think it was within a week of the inauguration, I was already calling my White House contact saying, hey, I need for y'all to pay attention to what's happening here. I'm hearing from my NGOs. I'm hearing from my friends in Border Patrol. And this is what's happening. Y'all need to take a look at. Because if you look at the numbers, they've been increasing since last year. But certainly in February, the numbers increased. And remember, March, April, May, June are the peak months traditionally. Yep. So we're about to hit the peak points. And I would tell you this, that if we have a large month this month where we look at the numbers, then we're going to have a very, very, very hot summer.
Congressman, going into this peak points, as you described them, the months that are about to get worse, I keep going back to what you said just a few moments ago, that you witnessed 150 people released without even a notice to appear. What we have there is effectively a revolving door. The notice to appear in and of itself is ineffective and asking people to come back to adjudicate their case. But now, in many instances, they're not even getting that ineffective notice to appear. What's the difference at this point, Congressman, between the current system and completely open borders? It seems right now all we are putting on is a show.
Well, I don't believe in open borders. You know, I want to see law and order at the border. If somebody has an asylum claim, a credible fear claim, then I think they should ask for that. But I'd rather have them do it in their country instead of coming down here and then being released and not knowing if they're going to show up later at a different time. But look, you know, we got to understand two things. By letting people in too quickly and just releasing them, it feeds to the message. There are three messages real quickly that are heard down there. One is the administration message, which says, don't come, come later. I think they calibrated that to don't come now. That's better. Then you have the message of the networks, family, friends that say, hey, guess what, Pedro? I got to cross, come over. Then they see images on TV showing people coming across. And the third message, this is the most important one, the aggressive marketing by the drug cartels, criminal organizations, because every time they make a lot of money. Those last two messages is what's being heard down there. Sure. And I know that. I asked some of the people when I was in at Carrizo Springs. I asked them which message they heard. It was the last two messages.
Congressman, really quick, you know, we interviewed people on the other side of the border, on the Mexican side of the border, or Griff Jenkins did. They said they liked the way the policy was before. I talked to people who live on the border who also said that the policies prior to the Biden administration, the Trump policies at the border were working. You've dismantled, the Biden administration has dismantled them. Were they working? Did they need to be dismantled? Do you agree with what the Biden administration has done?
Well, I think they should have taken a more cautious approach before making big changes. I would tell you this, Title 42, I support. Imagine if we were not, if we were allowing all the adults in without the Title 42. We're returning most of them back. I think the MPP could have been done, reformed, or it could have been done maybe in those countries. And then the third thing is agreements with those countries. And I'm glad that Roberta Jacobs and her team are finally going to Mexico and Central America. Right. You have to agreements with those countries. Otherwise, you don't stem the tide and you play defense on the 1 yard line called the U.S.-Mexico border. That's not very good defense.
All right. Congressman Henry Cuellar. Congressman, thanks for leaking those pictures so we could all see what's going on there. It's not good. Thank you, sir.
Great service.